I feel like I've gotten a lot of very specific requests to go over Gemini and Scorpio compatibility, or talk about, why they're attracted to each other. Let's talk about it. Scorpio and Gemini. As I discussed earlier when talking about Scorpio and Aries, Scorpio and Gemini are also inconjunct. And so there is, again, that natural pull, that natural attraction, a natural fascination. But again, these two signs are so freaking different from each other. And one of the most fundamental themes of this relationship will be Scorpio constantly trying to figure out and psychoanalyze and just totally understand Gemini, but it's like they can never quite do it. It's sort of like what, the nature of that inconjunct relationship is that it's a little bit like you're, like holding the door, a front door open with your foot, and you're like reaching to try and like grab something that someone is handing you, but like the person is a jerk, so like they're not handing it to you all the way. And so you're trying to like simultaneously like hold the door open and also like grab something ahead of you that you want badly, but you can't quite do it. You can get very close and almost just kind of touch the thing that the person is handing you, but as soon as you really just try and grasp it, your foot slips out and then the door slams, then you're locked out. It's like, you're always in the middle, in the balance. But let's back up. There is a natural fascination and attraction between these two signs. Gemini is incredibly intelligent. They are quick on their feet. They are savvy. They are nimble, and they command their power from their ability to kind of divide and conquer, or maybe like divide and get 75% of the way to conquering. Like they don't always totally finish everything, but it's amazing intellectually what they can command. It's amazing just in terms of how they approach their life, like how they are able to add all these different pieces together and see patterns. And we're talking like, I guess, about their intelligence, their mental ability, but also just their ability to put themselves out there. And Scorpio sees strength in that. They see power in that, and they respect it because Scorpio, again, has so much of a tendency to focus on the minutia, right? They want to command and they want to own and they want to dominate like one thing. And they like, or they at least, it's kind of exciting to them to see someone that is able to like have all their hands and fingers on so many different things, where Scorpio is just like, they're building with their Legos and they're just focusing on this one thing, right? And Gemini has like a whole city. Granted, like Scorpio's like Lego ship is like badass. Like it's better than anything else, but Gemini also has like a little bit of a whole Lego city. Gemini is attracted to Scorpio because Scorpio clearly has a lot of mystery and depth, and there's a lot of secrecy and privacy about them. Scorpio, you can sense that. You can sense that still waters run deep in them, but Scorpio is not going to reveal that to everyone. They're not going to reveal it to most people. And Gemini is insanely curious. That's why they have so many different irons in the fire. And so they see Scorpio as like this whole universe of things to discover and learn. And they're just insanely curious about Scorpio. And Scorpio is also insanely curious about Gemini. Because Gemini is a mutable sign. They're very changeable. Gemini is, how I think about Gemini, their glyph is the twins, right? And so they have these kind of different elements of their being, right? This kind of inherent, almost like existential contradiction, which kind of, it's almost like an ability to wear, simultaneously different masks. And they need this power to go out and kind of like colonize, right? And learn and explore and understand. But, every person, every human, we all have inherent contradictions, things that we're sort of working through, riddles inside of us, and, things that we're trying to figure out. We're trying to understand like how we feel about something or someone, or what our philosophy is, and we kind of think about it, and we learn from trial and error, and You know, it's more of an internal process, where with Gemini, it's like all almost like externalized. And instead of just like sort of compartmentalizing that process in their mind and their feelings, it's more just like they put on one mask, you know, they put on one costume, and then they go out and do stuff, and then they kind of put on another one and go out and do some other stuff. And it is like almost jarring to the world around them. It's also fascinating. It's like you want to understand, like, who is this person? What's there? Like, Geminis are such good performers, and they can be very charming, and they can put on a show, and they just demand a lot of excitement. And Scorpio just wants to like grab them and hold them still and like pull off the mask. And when they try to like pull off the mask, they realize there is no mask, like that's just the person. And then they're like, wait, what? It's like trying to like grasp something in a dream. You know, you can never quite grab it. And so a big driver in this relationship is going to be Scorpio sometimes confusing raw attraction and love and lust with a desire to like really just like put a pin in this person and really figure them out. Like, that is fascinating to Scorpio. And sometimes they get a little bit confused about whether that is really like, I like this person, I could love them, I do love them, or I'm just like so fascinated. And usually I can understand everything or anything, you know, if I obsess about it enough. But I can't quite ever do it with Gemini, because as soon as I feel like I have something figured out, they do something else which kind of contradicts what I previously thought. And what Scorpio sometimes doesn't realize is that's like the beauty, that's the gift, that's the superpower of Gemini, right? It is that ability to kind of like, you grab them and then they're like over there, they're behind you. It's like, that is them, and it can't totally be explained. And Gemini doesn't care to go that deep. For them, it's just a wet blanket. They don't need to like delve that deep into everything. They like to keep things light and fun and curious, and they have a good sense of humor, and they like jokes and double entendres and all this stuff. And like Scorpio's intensity sometimes is just a little bit dampening, even though there's a lot of attraction still. And Scorpio is going to find that Gemini, while they're curious about Scorpio, it's just exhausting to get to know Scorpio as much as Scorpio really wants Gemini to. Like, Scorpio wants Gemini to be as obsessed with them and their mystery as they are with Gemini, and that's not usually the case. But what they do have in common is that if both of these signs were able to like fully understand each other, it could be, oh, finally they're super compatible, but like sometimes it's just like, oh, now I have it figured out, and it's like kind of boring, or like it's not as interesting, or not that it's not interesting, it's just now that I have them figured out, that mystery is gone, and now it just seems like we're just two really incompatible people. Now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom here, because really we're talking about general relationship between two zodiac signs. There's so much else going on in the chart that can 100% make like a Gemini sun and a Scorpio sun compatible, or, you know, people that have both those signs somewhere in their chart compatible. I'm just saying, is a general rule, Scorpio and Gemini have trouble understanding each other, and they're never going to fully get it, right? It's like I said with Scorpio and Aries, it's always going to require someone crossing over into the boundary, and I don't like these two signs' ability to do it for each other often enough as I maybe would for Scorpio and Aries. Scorpio, you know, begs for integrity and consistency and follow through, and they want holism, and they want to see how everything is connected. And Gemini is a mutable sign, right? Like everything being forever and cemented, and, you know, having to be so pure all the time is it's just such a drag. They kind of totally deflate. And Gemini is their soul is nurtured by the ability to be spontaneous and to change course and to pivot, and that causes Scorpio a lot of anxiety And Gemini, Scorpio can cause you like depression, kind of blunt way to say it. But again, if the rest of the chart supports it, maybe, but just know this generally.